Ever wondered why we seem to always complete tasks in the last minute despite the long deadline given to us? What if I told you there's a psychological phenomenon that explains the reason behind it? Parkinson's law states that the time we allocate for completing a task often dictates how long it takes to finish it. In simpler terms, if we give ourselves a lot of time to do something, we tend to use all of that time, even if the task could have been completed much quicker. For example, if you have a week to write an essay, you might find yourself working on it right up until the deadline, even though you could have finished tomorrow. Think about the last time you had an assignment due. Did you find yourself working on it frantically just before the deadline? That's Parkinson's law in action. You probably had plenty of time to start earlier, but you ended up using all the available time anyway. Parkinson's law shows us that we often work at the last minute, even if we have more time than we need. It is entirely the reason why we procrastinate, which is why this law is often viewed as a hindrance to productivity. But what if I tell you that Parkinson's law isn't really something to be taken negatively? There's actually a way to exploit Parkinson's law to train your mind to stop procrastination, but it requires you to actually have self-control and develop discipline throughout the process. And here's how. First, set shorter deadlines. Instead of leaving assignments until the last minute, try to allocate extra time by having shorter deadlines. For example, if you have a research paper due in 1 month, you can try to turn the deadlines into something shorter, like 2 weeks, if you have a lot of free time. Now, this might sound a little pressuring since you were given a month, and you'll only finish it in 2 weeks. But remember, since you're a procrastinator, most of the work you do at the last minute. Basically, you were given a week, and you were able to finish it in just 1 day or maybe even 1 hour thanks to Parkinson's law, so you should be able to meet the 2-week shortened version of the deadline. However, if you have other responsibilities or the research paper requires extensive research and writing, you may need to adjust the time frame accordingly. It's your choice, so you can adjust everything freely, but just make sure that the adjustment is justified to simulate Parkinson's law without actual procrastination. If you feel like the law is a bit much and you're feeling stressed, don't worry, we've got another trick up our sleeves, breaking things down into smaller bits. Instead of tackling the whole assignment at once, split it up into smaller tasks and give each one a closer deadline, like a piece of the bigger deadline. So, let's say we're still talking about that research paper due in 2 weeks. Now, to apply Parkinson's law even better, let's make another deadline, but this time it wouldn't pressure us much and instead allow us to perform them in more manageable chunks. Set deadlines for the outline, researching, drafting, and revising based on how long you think it will take you to finish them. If you feel like you'll spend a lot of time researching, then you can make it a little longer than others. Basically, you can set the deadline for the outline for just 2 days, 5 days for both the research and drafting, and then the last 2 days spent on revising, summing up to the 2 weeks you allocated. This keeps you from being overwhelmed by the task, as you'll be able to see clearer goals and gulp these tasks into smaller pieces. Surely none of us would spend 2 whole days just making an outline. We still procrastinate within this deadline, and we might even finish the outline in the last minute before the 2-day deadline we set. At this point, don't worry. It wasn't even a problem anymore, and we successfully turned procrastination into something productive. But let's make our task less boring and more challenging by setting an even tighter deadline, which allows us to train our brain to perform with maximum productivity. Don't worry, this was just a type of challenge to train yourself. You can choose not to and stick with the smaller segments step, but if you want to push it to the next level, then you might want this. Estimate how long you'll really finish your assignment. If you started working on your outline now continuously without rest, how long would you be able to finish it? Be honest with your estimation, otherwise this won't work. Let's say you estimate you can finish your outline within 6 hours of continuous work. And divide it again by 2, so 3 hours, and divide it by 2 again, so 1 hour and 30 minutes. And try to finish your outline within just 1 hour and 30 minutes. This way, you're intensely applying Parkinson's law while allowing you to feel challenged in your task, which keeps you from feeling bored. But remember, even though you took the original time from the estimation of continuous work, you wouldn't want to really work continuously throughout that 1 hour and 30 minutes. Instead, take a short break in between, but don't make it too long. Probably just about 5 minutes of rest every 25 minutes of work.